Hi, everyone. It's Paul Manna here with another episode of Democracy in 5 Minutes. Thanks for joining me today. In this week's episode, we'll continue discussing federal bureaucrats. I want to link their work to some current events that have unfolded in the U.S. these last couple of weeks. In particular, today I want to discuss the concept of loyalty and how it relates to the work that government bureaucrats perform. When I say loyalty, I'm referring to the idea of a person supporting or pledging allegiance to something like an idea, a group, or perhaps even a person. So, what does loyalty mean for government bureaucrats in the United States as they carry out their work? To whom or to what do these people pledge their loyalty, and why is that important to understand? The best place to begin answering these questions is to consider the oaths that federal civil service employees take when they're hired into their jobs. Workers in the federal civil service are bureaucrats who earn their jobs based on merit, not on the basis of being a political appointee. These bureaucrats would be everyone from staff attorneys in the U.S. Commerce Department to analysts at the Bureau of Labor Statistics to agents in Immigration and Customs Enforcement, among many other government jobs. Those people are different than the political appointees who presidents choose to staff their administrations. Political appointees are chosen on the basis of their political alignment with the president. They support the president's political and policy agenda. But that's not how it's supposed to work with employees of the federal civil service. What does loyalty mean for those bureaucrats, those civil servants, if they aren't hired based on their political views? That's where their oaths come in. Federal law actually requires civil service employees to take a very specific oath before starting their jobs. Their oath goes like this: I, and then the person states their name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. That's the oath these people say. Now, notice the oath does not say that federal employees must promise to support and defend a particular person in office, right? They don't have to pledge their allegiance to the president or the political appointee who is their boss in their agency, for example. However, the oath does say that federal employees must promise to support and defend the U.S. Constitution against all domestic or foreign enemies. The loyalty that these members of the civil service pledge then, above all, is to the Constitution. I thought this was important to take an episode to clarify this point, given that President Trump and other members of his administration frequently emphasize the importance of government workers being loyal to Trump himself. This expectation of loyalty to the president is actually dangerous. This is because it creates pressure on civil servants to adopt a sort of personal definition of loyalty rather than a loyalty to the nation's constitution that they swear to in their oaths. Yet Trump and his team have nevertheless attempted to shift the meaning of loyalty for the federal workforce. A recent news story about the Federal Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, illustrates what I mean. OPM, if you've never heard of it, is essentially the federal agency that oversees human resources issues for the federal government. And part of OPM's job is to guide processes for hiring new federal workers. Recently, President Trump's political appointees at OPM have revised hiring guidance for federal agencies, and OPM now requires new applicants for even low-level federal jobs to include a brief essay in their application that responds to this prompt. How would you help advance the president's executive orders and policy priorities in this role that you're applying for? Identify one or two relevant executive orders or policy initiatives that are significant to you and explain how you would help implement them if hired. Many defenders of the civil service see that as a question designed to identify potential candidates for civil service jobs that will be highly loyal to the president and his policy priorities. That, however, isn't how the civil service is supposed to work. People are supposed to earn their positions based on their technical expertise to do the job, and they affirm their loyalty to the U.S. Constitution, not to individual political leaders like the president. Many people who study the federal workforce, including some former federal employees themselves, worry that the shift that OPM is making will undermine the overall expertise of the federal bureaucracy if loyalty to Trump becomes a key factor in hiring over other more politically neutral criteria. So, with this potentially shifting definition of loyalty in play for the federal workforce, how might you use the information from today's discussion? Here are two ideas that I hope you'll find useful. First, if you or someone you know is considering applying for a federal job, I hope this will help you understand some of the new tensions that are now unfortunately baked into that process. I'd encourage you to have a strategy for navigating this terrain so you or your friends aren't taken aback by this question, asking to demonstrate your enthusiasm for President Trump's policies and his executive orders. Second, if you have a chance to interact with your elected representatives, today's information might help you talk with those people about the importance of maintaining a politically neutral federal bureaucracy where expertise rather than political loyalties drive the hiring process. Don't let your elected representatives try to change the subject and discuss loyalty of the president's closest political advisors or appointees. Everyone understands that politics plays into those hiring decisions of those people. That's okay. But that's not what OPM's new hiring process is about. That process is designed to alter how members of the federal civil service are hired. So be sure to make that distinction with your representatives if you raise this issue. That's where we'll wrap up today, folks. I look forward to getting into some new topics with you next week as usual. And so until then, take good care and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.